Happy New Year, comic book community. Joe here with another edition of 360 Comics and the first video of 2023. Before I get started, I just want to throw out a huge thank you your way, all of the viewers, all of the subscribers, the commenters, the likers, the followers on Instagram. Your support is unbelievably appreciated, and you really honestly made 2022 such an amazing year for me. Let's make 2023 even better. So in this video, we're going to take a look back at my year in comics 2022. I set a couple goals in the beginning of the year. I hit some of them, and I failed on others. I also accomplished some things that I didn't even think were remotely possible. Let's take a look and see what happened. As of the filming of this video, we are less than 100 subscribers away from hitting our goal of 2,500. At which time we're going to give away this book right here, Edge of Spider-Verse #1, the 1 in 25 Ramos variant in a 9.8 CGC slab. If you want to win this book, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment down below, and of course, check out our other videos, like them, and leave comments on them for additional entries. I'll be picking a winner once we hit 2,500 subscribers. Good luck. So having started my YouTube channel and my Instagram in the summer of 2021, 2022 ended up being the first full year of me doing that stuff, and really it was the first full year of me being very serious about the hobby of comic book collecting, despite having bought comics over the years since I was 5 years old. That being said, I set some goals for myself, and a lot of those goals involved collecting comic books, my personal collection, which is the reason I do all of this. You know, if I didn't collect comics myself, I would not have a YouTube channel, I would not be selling comics, I would be doing something else with my free time. But I do, in fact, love comic book collecting, and one of the things that I collect is Amazing Spider-Man, and obviously that is a grail run, very hard to get every issue because a lot of the early ones are very expensive, but I made such a dent in this run in the past year that I honestly blew my expectations out of the water. I did have a goal for ASM, which was to pick up an ASM 13, first appearance of Mysterio, and it didn't happen. But I'm actually pretty glad that it didn't happen. Reason being is the price of that book was pretty much on the decline the entire year. It really was at a high point, you know, really early on in the year when the market was still very strong, and has been, in general, coming down from month to month, and really is at a low point now as compared to where it was at any point during the year. So I'm pretty glad that I didn't buy it at the higher price, and I'm hoping to get in on it early this year, so that is going to be one of my goals. Nonetheless, I did pick up a lot of big Amazing Spider-Man keys, including this one right here. This was from a collection that I got back in March. In fact, it was the weekend that I was moving. I ended up buying a 26 long box collection, and good thing I had my U-Haul from moving because I needed the space to put all those comics and transport them. There were actually 2 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 300. One was graded at an 8.5. This one was raw, and I believe it to be a significantly higher grade than that. I'm thinking this is probably a 9.4, 9.6 candidate, but it's eventually going to go to CGC, so look out for the unboxing on that. As far as ASM, I actually now have every book from 60 until the end of the first volume, which is, I think, 441 books in that first volume. So really, I'm just working on the issues prior to 60, which I have a bunch of now, but there's a lot of major keys in there that are going to be very expensive. But yeah, you know, you got to pay the money if you want to complete a run like that. Now, one of my other runs that I collect very heavily is XMen. This obviously isn't exactly from the Uncanny X-Men run. It is a one-shot giant-size X-Men #1. This I was able to upgrade this year. I had a low-grade copy, missing the back cover, had a panel clipped out, tape all over it. In fact, it had duct tape on it. I ended up acquiring this in a collection that I bought earlier this year with some other goodies, and I ended up selling off my lower-grade copy that has a very nice home now. So I'm happy about that. This collection that I mentioned was really perfect for me as an X-Men collector. In the beginning of the year, I had said, you know, I have almost every book from the Claremont run on. Almost every book beyond, issue 94 when Chris Claremont took over, and he went up to 279. And my goal for the year was to fill out that run, except for the two big ones. I wasn't counting on getting the two big ones, which are X-Men 101, first appearance of Phoenix, and X-Men 94, that first Claremont book. Well, guess what? In this collection that I got this book as well, I also got those two books. I got X-Men 101 and X-Men 94. The rest of the collection ended up coming together, the rest of the run, through other collection purchases and stuff. And now I have completed the Claremont run. Unfortunately, I don't have the X-Men 94 or 101 available to show you because they are off at CGC right now. So you're going to just have to deal with looking at this giant size X-Men 1, which is a pretty awesome book as well. So completed my Claremont run. That was like my reaching goal of the year. I wanted to complete it all except for those two books. I ended up getting it all. So even though I missed on some things, that is a huge come up in my eyes, being that X-Men are my favorites. This was one of my modern books that I was looking for, and I'll tell you, that was a lot of my failure this year, was a lot of the modern books that I wanted, I did not acquire. But that being said, those books have all dramatically fallen during the year, so it's probably good that I didn't pick them up. It was all about kind of adjusting my goals based upon the market, which I think is the way you got to do it. Even if you set a goal and you have that goal locked in, I think it's okay to adjust, especially due to market conditions. And the market was going down the majority of the year, especially with modern stuff. Now, this one was on my list, and fortunately, I got it for cheap enough that even though I bought it months ago, it is still selling for more now than I bought it for. So I got a really, really good price on this. If I remember correctly, I paid $400. I think 400 or in the low 400s. At the time, it was selling for 600, so I got a good deal. It's down to about 450 now, so I'm still on top with this one, despite having picked up a modern book when it was higher in the market. And I think that this book has, really good holding power as far as being just one of the most iconic Joker covers, certainly the most iconic of the modern age. This one's just staying in my personal collection. I've had a couple people ask about it, but I'm not going to sell it. I decided it would be too hard to find another 9.8 for such a good price. Again, there were a bunch of Batman books, or modern books, especially Batman ones, because I did want the Hush run in 9.8s, as well as the Year One books in 9.8s, but both of those runs have come down significantly because of, one's a Copper Age run, one's a Modern Age run, and a lot of that stuff has really just dropped in the market. So I am okay from pivoting away from those goals and not hitting them, because I got some other stuff. And let's go over that other stuff now, because there's a lot of books in here that I never thought I would own. I was happy with my Six Flags version of Batman Beyond #1. And I was happy about that, but also looking to upgrade, and man, did I upgrade with this. Check that out down there. Very hard to find from the late 1990s, a newsstand copy of Batman Beyond 1. This was a flea market find for just 50 cents. I ended up buying all the books this guy had without even going through all of them for 50 cents a piece. And I ended up finding this one in there, as well as a second copy newsstand of this book. Now, the other copy, it went to a good home. Big Fetty from New York Warriors ended up picking it up for me in a partial trade that we did at King Con, and he's getting it sent off to CGC to get graded. This one is my personal copy, and also is definitely going to get sent off to CGC to get graded. So really, really happy to have upgraded that, especially, such a rare book. I would think, these are just kind of my estimates based upon the print run of that book and the percentage of the print run that would have been newsstand in 1999. There's probably only a few hundred to maybe 1,000 copies that are newsstands of that book. The whole print run was only about 30,000. So, there can't be that many newsstands out there. Moving on to the oldest book in my collection, as well as one of the coolest books in my collection for sure. A very big surprise that I did not think I would ever have acquired in 2022, but hey, it ended up in my collection. And yeah, you see that date right up on the top there. That says December of 1938. This book is an absolute gem. There, in fact, are only, I think, 14 on the census last time I checked. This one eventually will be sent in and be a 15th on the census, although it will be a 0.5 because it is missing the back cover, unfortunately. But this is a very old Golden Age book, Detective Comics number 22. Yes, this predates Batman by 5 issues. He first appeared in Detective 27. This is the second appearance and first cover appearance of the Crimson Avenger. It is also the second superhero cover ever. Action Comics number 1 came out, premiering Superman on the cover. That was the first. Now, Superman wasn't on Action Comics 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. He didn't return to the cover until issue number 7. And in that time, this came out. So I think Action Comics 1 is June of 1938. This is December of 1938. So this is my oldest book. It is also a very significant Golden Age key, an awesome cover, and you know, despite the condition issues and tape on it and missing the back cover and all that stuff, the colors pop amazingly on this. Golden Age stuff just really hits differently. So stoked to have this in my personal collection. Definitely not leaving it anytime soon, and definitely going to get it in the slab. More to preserve and protect than, you know, for the grade, because like I said, I know it's going to be a 0.5. Speaking of Golden Age, this was a recent pickup that I got from an Instagram seller, I believe Silver Age Comics UK, I believe is the Instagram. Shock Suspense Stories number 1. You know, despite the market having fallen, Golden Age stuff is still selling for a nice price, and I really dove into Golden Age this year. I had a couple books last year, mostly pre-code horror stuff, but I really wanted to expand that this year, and this was one of the books that I've been looking for and ended up showing up in a really great grade, a 6.5 from a book from 1952. It's got an electrocution torture cover on the front, and would you believe I got this for under $1,000, pretty significantly under $1,000. I believe my all-in price was $740. You may have seen this. I posted on Instagram just recently when I got it, but I figured throw it into the video because it definitely was one of my cooler pickups of the year. This next one, I just did a video on this, but I have to throw it in. I got a book from the collection of Steve Ditko. You can't really go wrong with that. You know, an ASM book, a decent grade, Steve Ditko owned. It even says it on the label up there. If you haven't checked out that video, go check it out. It's got a cool story and some footage from the auction itself. Now, the next two actually were won in auctions. Raffles. Raffles are not something I normally participate in. In fact, I think I've done like 4 ever, only because they were books that I really wanted that I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford, you know, just by buying it outright. So I figured let's take a little chance, do a little gamble, and see if I can win something in a raffle. And back-to-back weeks from the same guy, MTG Comics, aka Greg, who runs King Con. This is one of the books. This is the first book that I got. House of Secrets, number 92, first appearance of Swamp Thing in a respectable 3.5. Tough book to get because of the black cover and you know, dark features on there, but happy with the grade. And the very next week, no joke, 1 week later, I won another one of his raffles for this right here, Spotlight number 2, first appearance of Werewolf by Night. So 2 incredible Bronze Age horror grails, in my opinion. First Swamp Thing, first Werewolf by Night, and this is a 7.0 too, so this is pretty nice. Got them a week apart, both in raffles. I think my all-in, you know, buying places in the raffle was like $280 or something like that, and these 2 books have a combined value of well over $1,000. Actually, probably over $1,500, even though the market is down right now. So really stoked about these. And, you know, like I said, I don't do a lot of those raffles, but, you know, if something pops up that I see that is really interesting to me or something that I've been looking for a long time, gotta go for it sometimes. This next one's awesome. Maximum Carnage #1. This is the video game version. This was you had to like send away for this. It wasn't something that you could pick up in a comic store. So the print run is pretty low on it. In fact, there are less than 300 on the CGC census. I'm not sure what the print run is. I could never find that information, but even at a 7.5, this is a solid book, but it's something that I do want to upgrade eventually, whether it be through buying a raw or maybe trading this one up for a higher grade, something along those lines. But yeah, it's a hard to find book. Never thought I would have come across it, but some guy came up to my table at King Con and ended up asking me if I would trade for one of the books that I had, and we worked out a trade. This is something that he pulled out of his bag as a trade item, and I was stoked about it. The funny thing is, I mentioned earlier, I sold my one of the Batman Beyond ones to Big Fetty, and he gave me that was partial trade. He gave me a Edge of Spider-Verse #2. 9.6, and that was actually the book that I traded for this. So I did a multi-step trade that day. You can check out that video from King Con if you want to scroll back on my videos and check that one out. Anyway, so we hit some goals. We picked up some awesome books this year. There were so many more. I couldn't include all of them. Some really big collections, some big Silver Age keys, some awesome Golden Age books. I'm very happy. Despite not hitting all of those goals, I'm very happy about that. There were some goals as far as selling, as far as my social media numbers, essentially. So as far as selling, I wanted to do 4 conventions and excuse me, maybe like 1 or 2 flea markets. And I ended up doing 5 conventions and 3 flea markets over the course of the year. So I surpassed my goal of what I wanted to do there. And I already have 2 conventions lined up for early this year, and possibly a flea market that I'm thinking about doing at the end of January. So look out for that information. I also wanted to do weekly sales on Instagram, which not only have I done weekly sales with almost taking no weeks off, I've done 2 a week many of the weeks, and even sometimes 3 in 1 week. So that's been going really well. And then as far as viewership and stuff like that, my goal was to have 2,000 subscribers by the end of 2022, which I surpassed that goal. And I even had a second higher goal of 2,500, which I haven't hit yet, but I should be hitting it in probably January sometime. So I was really close to that second goal, even though that was above and beyond what I had expected. Instagram was a little bit different, though. I was around 5,000 Instagram subscribers at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, and I was hoping to get to 10,000. Well, it was much slower going up that next couple thousand, so I only made it to 8,000 some, which I say only, but that's phenomenal. I'm really, really happy with how many followers I have on Instagram and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna keep trucking along. Despite not having hit that 10,000, I'm sure that I will hit it at some point this year, and I'm very excited for when that happens. As far as goals for the new year, I'm going to do another video on that, probably next week, and I'll talk about some of my specific comic collecting goals. One of them already. I said ASM 13, that's still on my radar, and it absolutely is. But you'll see, I'll probably put out 10 books that I'm targeting for 2023, and we'll get to that. But thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below how you think I did in 2022. Share some of your 2022 success stories, or maybe even a fail story if you would like to share something like that. But yeah, check it out. Follow on Instagram, subscribe, like, all that stuff. And until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.